Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of The Real Life Show. We're back at the Backyard Cafe. We love it here. Thank you, Andrea,
Thank you.
for having us once again. But we're back with episode 18
Wow,
of The
guys.
Real Life Show.
Wow.
And I'm so excited.
Yeah,
Sarah, I'm so excited.
we are excited, aren't
So excited.
we? How excited? Out of 80.
That's a specific number.
We've not introduced you yet.
Sorry. Oh, gosh.
But I am 70. I want to go above, obviously.
No,
let's
don't
be
go
real.
above, 'cause
I'm
I
gonna
put a
say
limit for a reason.
76 out of
Wow,
70.
that sounds
pretty
well
well
then. Wow.
We've got Emily and Ben Morton on with us. Interesting. Is it? I said Emily and Ben.
I always say Ben and Emily.
Ben and Em feels better.
I think Emily and Ben sounds great.
Well, Ben and Em. I like Ben and Em.
Ben
I
and
think
Em.
we always
Yeah.
have banana.
Ben and Em. Yeah, nice. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Are you guys good?
Yeah,
We're great,
really
thank
good,
you. Thank you so
Excited
much
to
for having
have
us.
Oh,
Thank
thank
you.
you for your time.
Benjamin, we have to speak about your knee straight
Yeah.
away. If anyone was watching,
Yeah.
Ben has had
Yeah.
traumatic couple of months.
As Emily knows.
Has it been traumatic for Em as well?
I think more so.
Yeah. I feel you.
Just Sunday, just gone, Emily. You preached at church.
Woo!
which is
Amazing.
fantastic.
Thank you very
Talk
much.
to us. There's a couple of cereal things,
Yes.
as in the edible cereal,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that have come up in the last couple of months.
We need to set some context.
Yeah.
We do. So
Yeah.
Ben has had knee surgery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Emily is looking after him.
Full-time carer.
Full-time
Yeah.
I'm doing a
carer.
great job.
And
Yeah.
looking after a daughter as
And looking
well.
after a recently born. first
Recently
child.
born.
So how is that? How is
6
that?
months. It's all good.
Newborn.
Baby.
I wanted to say.
Recently
I'm
born
honestly with
person.
it, recently born.
Yeah,
baby.
absolutely.
Okay, yeah, I'll go with it.
But you signed up to 2 babies, really.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the other one. I'm the
Yeah,
other one,
yeah.
100%.
I
Well
think
done,
you've
Em.
probably been the more demanding one
I have,
of the two, actually.
I haven't cried.
No,
I haven't cried.
no.
But I
That's just a
have
mirror.
asked for demands. I have asked
Yeah.
for certain things that had to be done.
So there's a couple of things that have come around though, like your breakfast time.
Yeah, that's important.
Emily, talk to us about the cereal.
So, I'll take you back. The first couple of days, nothing was said because obviously we were getting our bearings.
Yeah.
And I think Ben didn't want to rock the boat too soon.
Yeah, wise.
Yeah.
So, like, we were sort of, I was making his cereal for him. Everything seemed to be going well.
Seemed to
Little did she know.
Little did I know, it gets to about day 3. I give him his cereal, as usual, that I have been doing. Well, it was like more to do with the milk to cereal ratio.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Where it was like, I don't want to see the milk
No.
in the bowl.
I don't want to see
be. It's so true though. I'm a slightly more of a I just want to
it.
see milk.
Okay, yeah.
Did
yeah.
you say it like that?
I don't. I think
You
I
did
think
say
I
it like that.
Yeah.
You said, I
Don't
don't
wanna
want to,
see.
I don't want to see the milk. That's the amount that
There's
I
obviously
want.
milk in there. There's enough milk in
To
there.
the point where now I'm pouring the cereal and I'm like, oh, what's going to happen? Because and
You're gonna get
a
feedback.
couple of times it has
Get
slipped.
feedback.
It slipped more than I wanted it to
Yeah,
because
true.
it's a big bottle.
And you have apologised. Ben,
And
I'm
I've
so
been
sorry.
I've
The
been
milk-
so sorry. You
the
can
see the milk. Good
How
enough.
am I being apologetic? I'm making him a cereal. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm so sorry, Ben. You can
Yeah.
actually see the milk.
It would say it's a small teaspoon as well, so
It is a
it's
small teaspoon.
What
teaspoon.
teaspoon?
So
Come on now.
with you on that, Ben.
It has to be. It has to be.
I'd be
You can't get much
happy.
on.
I like that though.
Wouldn't
I like
you be
that.
happy?
I like
Like,
that. Yeah.
For
I'm not.
something in the middle, between a teaspoon
Yeah,
and a tablespoon.
I agree with
Just do
that.
it
You
middle.
said
No,
that,
there's
actually.
not, but I
Yeah.
think there should be.
There should be a cereal spoon.
a cereal
That would be
spoon.
good. We could make it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do that.
What, does
Trademark that.
How long,
Let's
Okay.
copyright
how long
that.
does it take you to eat your cereal though with a teaspoon? Does it add on an extra
Years?
25 minutes
I
maybe?
think that's a bit.
I just,
Okay. Maybe 10 minutes. Okay.
I think just the same. And
Yeah.
desserts as well. Are you a teaspoon?
100%.
Would it-
Cakes, like those sort of things.
Trifle.
Brownies,
See, I'm with
yeah,
you
little
now.
small.
I'm
little-
with you.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
I agree
yeah,
with
yeah.
that.
Oh,
Or like the
okay.
little mini forks, maybe.
Mini forks.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love
yeah.
Mini
Yeah,
forks
me
are good.
You
too.
know what mini
Yeah.
fork is?
Wow. Isn't that fascinating?
But with
Teaspoon.
cereal, what cereal are you having?
I'm having like crunchy nut.
Oh.
Crunchy nut chocolate, like
Okay.
clusters. So you can
Yeah.
always have
Okay.
like one cluster on the spoon at one time. And that's ideal.
interesting.
That's ideal for me.
So I'm a Frosties. I am.
I do
Yeah,
like
I
that.
love
And
Frosties.
I'm big spoon,
Yeah.
as in tablespoon, and I'm like if I take a spoon, I'm not happy with how much is on there. I'll go again.
A
And
double
I
dipper.
want like a tower.
Oh,
on.
wow.
I
That's the
like
opposite.
it when it's just coated.
Just
Oh.
too much.
my
Oh.
But I'm with you on the milk.
Yeah, fair enough.
So
yeah,
with you on
just
the
to be able
milk.
to see it. So thank you, Emily,
Who
for
knew, guys?
for doing
Who
that.
knew?
Who knew?
What a tangent there. But just quickly before we head into the nitty gritty, tell everyone where people would know you from. Maybe where you're involved in at church, different things that you do.
Cool. So we are Deputy Connect Group leaders. So big up our Connect Group with Beck and Jace. We are on the new people's team. So if you're new, we love to welcome you and make you feel like Arise is your home. And we also do online hosting. So you may have seen our faces before
Yeah.
if you've watched online and have waited to the end of the service and we talk about the preach and things.
And every now and again, we may pop up on the front of the church and
Yeah.
do some
Yes.
Preaching.
little things. Yeah, do some little things.
And
Little
you, Ben?
preachers. Yeah, same as Emily, really. And we've really enjoyed getting stuck in with things, and that's kind of how I guess we've got to know so many people and enjoy being part of the church, with the new people's team, hospitality. We've done Alpha as well.
Yes, we
so that
served
was
on
really,
Alpha,
really
yeah.
that was quite early on actually in our Rise time, so we really enjoyed that. And just more recently do more of the
Yeah.
preaching side of things. That's what we really enjoyed.
That's cool.
And you've got a job as well. Em, you're on maternity leave
I'm on maternity
Correct.
leave at the moment, yeah.
So what do you do as your jobs?
Primary school teacher at the moment, so I've done it for
Lovely.
I'm about to go into my 7th year
Oh,
of teaching,
wow.
which feels a long time, and to be fair, it does feel like a long time.
Yeah.
But I do love it, to be fair. I
Yeah.
really, really enjoy it, and I know you do.
And then
Quite
I'm a teaching assistant.
Yeah.
So I teach half of the week and then I'm a TA the other half of the week.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, good
Oh, lovely.
balance.
Enjoying maternity leave, Em?
Loving it. Yeah,
Yeah.
really loving it. It's
Oh.
it's been a really lovely time.
Yeah.
Really lovely time.
Oh, wonderful.
Well, Ben.
Well, Ben.
Yeah.
Well, Ben.
Before I had the
Where are you
operation.
going, Ben?
Yeah. It's changed things a little
September,
bit.
hurry up.
So, guys, we always start here, and we want to know, when did you come to know Jesus?
You can go first.
Oh, thank you so much.
Also kind.
You can start the next question. then.
Okay, all right.
Take it in turns.
No, it's a great question. So I was blessed to be in a Christian family, Christian household, and I think I made the decision when I was 8 years old.
Oh, wow.
I don't necessarily remember the preach or the speaker or what it was, but I knew that it was after the service they said the prayer, and something within me just wanted to do it. And I think for me, it wasn't like my life was completely transformed from 8 years old. I think I had a lot to kind of still go through. And so kind of when I was 13, 14, I remember going to Bath when my dad was preaching, and I kind of made a bit of, I don't know whether you call it a recommittal or whether a bit more I just kind of meant a bit more business,
Yeah.
Christian-wise.
Yeah, right,
And then I got baptized when I was 16. And I think when I was about 18, almost heading into university, that's when I really kind of took God for myself in a fresh new way.
Yeah.
So I had a couple of hallmarks or milestones, whatever you want to call them, and that was kind of my journey. So
Wow.
a couple of little things that helped me along the way, and I still need those, and I'm still going for them as well.
Yeah.
That's probably
Yeah.
mine.
Oh, amazing.
And then, so I grew up at Arise. So my family went to the church. So I went there since I was born. So back in the day, it was Calvary Kids. And I remember I was probably about 7. We came home from Calvary Kids with a prayer written on a sheet of paper. I remember taking it home, and then I was about to go to sleep, and I said to Mum, I want to say the prayer.
Yeah.
So we read the prayer together, and we were just in my bedroom. And then a little bit like Ben, I think it's sort of snowballed from there, and there's just been moments along the way that have just grew my faith and snowballed it bigger and bigger and bigger. Things like like being part of Youth Blast Off, Audacious Conference, and then actually getting the opportunity to serve and be a part of those teams as well. That was a big part of my journey, and serving was a big aspect of that as well.
Yeah.
You both mentioned your mum there and your dad,
That's
and
right.
growing up in faith in a Christian home. How important and how fundamental do you think that has been for your faith now? Is having a chance to go and see your dad preach in Bath, having a chance to pray the prayer of salvation with your mum. They're two beautiful moments.
Yeah.
True.
How important were they in your walks?
I think it just set a great, firm foundation, really. like I remember like I had a Bible from quite a young age, and we would read it together. Like it was like a Bible specifically for little girls, and it would have like pictures and like things that we could unpack together. We'd always say grace before we ate meals. There were just like a lot of fundamental things that just set a firm foundation. Like Sundays would always be viewed as a church day. That was when we would just go to church, and we wouldn't really like question it. We would just know that that's what we would do on a Sunday. It was the norm. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and similar for me as well.
Yeah.
I think, like I said, like my dad was a preacher. He later became on like a bit like an associate pastor, and so like Dad was great. I was always able to watch him do things. So he would preach most weeks, which is always great. Like to see my dad, a bit of a role model, kind of looking up to him and going, wow, that's how he would preach and things. He also did like mission trips. He's gone to like India. He's done Mexico, America. I think he's done sometimes some parts in Africa as well. And not only would he, as a kid, give me something back, like bring me something back, a nice gift. He went to America and got me a scooter once. I was class. But
a scooter back from America?
Yeah, I don't know how he did it through customs. I don't know how it worked. But he did that, and he brought like videos back, and he also brought like stories back, little testimonies and things.
Oh,
so for me, like to see my dad do all that business, like he was a real big part of the church, and a lot of my Morton family were, like my uncle, my great uncle, was the first pastor of the church.
Wow.
My uncle now is the current pastor, and kind of there was a lot of us Mortons, and it was kind of really good to kind of just look at them and see how they were doing the Christian life. And for me as a kid, it was amazing to see, like what you were saying, prayers, grace, reading Bible, just seeing my dad's preaching notes out left, right, and centre. He wasn't the most clean, but the other things messy everywhere. So it was good to see all that, just to kind of been exposed to it at a young age. It was just amazing. It was great.
Were you always in the same church, Ben?
Yeah, we were,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
So as a childhood, until I went to my university at 18, always in the same church. And we had like, what helped was that there was so much family that we could kind of just look at and enjoy and like look forward to seeing on Sunday.
Wow.
But within my, whatever you want to call it, generation, there was me and my brother, and there were 6 other cousins. So we had like 8 Morton cousins who were all within 2-3 years old of each other, and we kind of went to Sunday school together. We went to like the youth groups together. We went to the services together. So that was a massive pull, actually, that we'd go to church, but we'd go to see people that we knew, we loved, and it was just
cool.
it was amazing. They did help, and we're all still dabbling in Christianity stuff now. Like we're all doing little bits here and there, and that's great. That's a good testament to it.
Was it similar for you then, that like Sundays was just the norm? Like,
yeah. It was always,
church.
and we actually had 2. I'm sure it's like Calvary did and Arise did for a bit. Like we had 2 services every Sunday. So there was like a morning service and an evening service, and we kind of would go to both if we could, or we juggle one or the other. And we loved it. There's a strong value to church when we were young, and we've kept that now, and we hope to continue that as well.
Wow. So you say that you were brought up in a Christian home. Like, what was your childhood like? You said you've got a brother, Ben.
Yeah.
Like, just tell us about your family and what it was like growing up together.
Yeah. So it's just the 4 of us. So my mum and dad, myself, and my brother James. And like we loved enjoying going for church. We're 2 years apart from each other, me and my brother. So we've got a good relationship. Feel pretty close. We're still really close now. One of the things that I guess you could say that we had to battle for our childhood in church was this idea of was football.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
really?
Like, so we wanted to play football. One of us being amazing at it, and my brother as well. No, he's the professional footballer. I can't say that. I can't lie to the people at home. But no, so we love football, and so annoyingly, matches fell on a Sunday morning. And so I don't know whether this is similar to most families, most parents. I'm sure there's always a bit of a battle of, do you let your kid do what they want to do, which is football, but then at the sacrifice of church, or do you compromise or whatever it was. I think it wasn't until we're this age now, we talk about it quite a bit, and when we have a child of our own, do I really understand like the weight of the choice that my mum and dad made?
Sure.
Because actually, they were happy for me and my brother to miss church on a Sunday morning, as long as the compromise was, as long as we went to the evening service. So that was why it was so good. As long as we went to church on a Sunday, we could play a football game.
Wow.
And when I was a teenager, the matches moved to the afternoon, so didn't miss any church. Great. But obviously for my brother, he went on to become, he got signed for Bristol City, became a scholar, and then a professional footballer now, which he still is. So looking back at it, and I know this wouldn't have been everybody's story, but I truly believe that what my mum and dad did was the right thing, because, maybe for some friends, maybe even some family members might have thought, oh, why are Ben and James not at church today?
Yeah.
It's because they're playing football. But actually, my brother has grown up to be a Christian. He's taken the faith with him.
Yeah.
In my school, I try to take my faith, and James is, locker rooms, changing rooms, his football pitch, he takes his faith.
Yeah.
And one cool little thing as well is that even on James's, he has a Wikipedia page, which is pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
Even on his Wikipedia, there ain't much about him. There's obviously his little football team he's been on, but one of the things about him is that it says he's a Christian on it, because he did an interview with a team before, and so it's just quite awesome that that journey for myself and my brother, that little tricky compromise, it did lead to the right thing in the end.
Yeah,
Because,
definitely.
and that was my story.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
I love that.
Yeah.
Football.
I love that. And what about you?
So I grew up with 2 older brothers, and I think we were all sort of got involved with like the kids' work and the youth work, and I think like we were all sort of on our own journeys with it all, really. I think I think what was great is that in church that there was a real progression in that, and that no matter what generation you were, so I had older brothers, that there was something for you. There was like something when you were a child, there was something when you were like youth. And I think really like the input that we had from the leaders, like the input in your lives is just amazing. And like it wasn't actually until recently I was actually able to speak to one of my old leaders and say, like, wow, the input you've had in my life is amazing. And I think it actually inspired me and I think and my brothers as well, because they served for a little bit. Where we wanted to be the same for someone else. We wanted to have an impact and support someone and encourage someone in their faith and be an impact for them as well. So,
That's cool.
Yeah. How, Ben, I absolutely love hearing about other people's experiences of church. Like when we had Pastor Lee on, he gave us like a rundown of what church was like for him. Yeah. What was church like for you? Like, is it similar to Arise? Is it loud? Is it like, is there a band? Like all sorts of those things. I love hearing about that.
Different, to be fair.
Is
Really
it?
quite different to Rise, I'd say. So yeah, the church I grew up with, the Bristol church that we stayed up to 18, and we served a little bit after university. It's a little bit more. So I think the structure's quite similar. Like we have a time of worship first, then there'd be communion actually, and then there'd be like a preach. So that was quite the structure for pretty much the majority of my life. Wow. The evening service was a little bit more youthy. It was a little bit more younger. There was a bit more of a band playing, more modern day music and stuff.
Yeah.
So it was really interesting, the differences, and doing both was awesome. I would say that Rise is probably a little bit more like charismatic, I'd say.
Okay,
because I think when I
I love that word.
Well put.
I agree with that because I've been to both. Charismatic is a good word.
But I got that from my auntie, because when I preached at Rise a while back, they watched it and they're like, oh, hang on. They're shouting out and saying amen and things like that. Rise are doing that. What are they? And that is amazing, by the way. Like preaching there, like at Rise, and going, yes, come on, and amen. And going, we agree. That is so good. Particularly speakers knowing, what I'm saying is actually, hitting home and stuff. So the differences are there, but the beliefs are the same. What they were teaching and Arise teaching, like, were really similar. And that's what drew us to Arise, because the teachings were so good and everything. So.
Oh, amazing.
I love that.
Yeah. So, guys, tell us how you two met.
Hey.
Oh, this is quite a funny story, actually.
Em's got to start this off.
So, we were in halls, so we were both at uni in Cheltenham, and our halls just happened to be the ones next to each other.
There was a fire exit in between.
Yeah, there was a fire exit in between us. So I think it was like one of the first Sundays, the Christian Union linked to the uni was running a church search. So you'd all... It wasn't like a dating event or anything, like nothing weird like that. It was like that we were all going to meet at the chapel, and then we were all going to go and like on a church search. Yeah. So I was walking from my halls, and I was walking, and I started to panic because I noticed this guy behind me, and I thought he was stalking me, because and I was like he was following every direction I was going in. He was going in the same direction. I didn't think
it was late at night. it was dark as well.
I didn't even think to myself, oh, he's going to the same place. Like when he actually turned up at the church search as well, I was like, oh, he wasn't a stalker. He was just going to the same event that I was going. But I did the whole like looking behind the shoulder to check if he was still there or not, and he was, and I was like, oh no. But,
you tried walking over the other side of the road. So did I. No, I'm kidding. I didn't do that.
So that was the time we first met.
Yeah, and then we became like best friends straight away because I think we had two things in common, and that was teaching, which is what the
we
course
were
we
both
were
on
doing.
the same course.
Oh, and halls, to be fair, but also like our faith as well, because we went to the same church in Cheltenham as well, didn't we?
And I'd never had like a guy best friend before, so it was
Yeah.
but it was really great. And we were just genuinely great friends.
Yeah.
And probably for like a year, we were just friends, weren't we?
And like they say that you can't be best friends like boy and girl. And I did test waters early doors. I did. Like I think because I took Emily to a church, just us two, and I needed some shoes for placement.
He needed me to go with him to help him choose
It was legit.
shoes
It was legit.
for
It was a
placement.
legitimate reason to bring Emily along something. I just thought, I was like, obviously, we're good friends. Are we gonna, is there a bit more? Because could there be? And then end of it, I don't know where. Well, I do know why. I just thought, she's Emily. I ain't got a chance. We'll be good friends. I ain't got a chance. I just thought we'll be really good friends. I had confirmation and peace of it. I thought it's great.
You were at peace with it.
Yeah.
My gosh, that's cute, isn't it?
I told you that.
Just knocked myself at the mic. Forget it's there.
It was that cute, was it?
Yeah, it was really cute. That.
So how did it actually become like romantic?
So it was probably like
was a
start
year
of
in.
second year.
Yeah.
We both sort of went down our own paths. Like we both were in our own separate relationships. I was sort of seeing someone else for a while, and I knew it wasn't the right thing, and I was kind of at a bit of a crossroads with it, where I was like, am I gonna like go with it?
Yeah.
But I think it would have definitely had a significant impact on my faith if I had have gone down that road.
Okay, yeah.
And I knew I needed to make a decision that like I wanted someone that I could share my faith with, and
Yeah.
I needed someone that I could that God was going to be at the centre for both of us.
Yeah.
So I kind of left that and sort of carried on my own way, and then you were in your own relationship as well. And then that ended, and then I think we just chatted about it, and then it just sort of happened, didn't it?
Yeah.
I think we kind of felt like there was something there,
Yeah.
but sort of an unspoken thing,
Yeah.
and then I think it just developed. Yeah.
What was your first date?
Was it Italian? No,
Oh, yeah,
Jamie's
no.
Italian.
Yeah,
Jamie's
Jamie's
Italian.
Italian,
And we
yeah.
both ordered the exact same thing on the menu.
Oh.
So like, he came to
That's
order.
it. That'll do.
We're sounding so cheesy. We're not even meaning to sound cheesy, but like it was like we ordered the same thing on the menu,
Yeah.
and then we both started eating pieces of spaghetti. I'm totally joking. No, that didn't happen.
We didn't do that.
Lady in the Tramp style. Can you just say you did? Because I love that.
No, but it was, and then I think I asked you out properly, like with a McFlurry in my hand.
Classic. Ben loves
You?
McDonald's.
Or was it you
We
just-
were both had it. We both
Oh,
had
yeah,
one.
Yeah, we both had one. And that was a few
that's
months after we
cute.
started dating and things.
Yeah.
And then, that's probably
Oh,
covered
that's
everything.
so lovely.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Has it been important, like so you did then uni together, obviously.
Yeah.
And you mentioned about Christian Union as well, and the different things that you hooked in right from the start.
Yeah.
And going
Yeah,
into that
yeah.
Christian thing to find yourself a church. Like, how important was it for you, like, to make sure faith
Yeah.
stayed at uni? Because a lot when people go to uni, obviously that brings it different things.
Definitely.
Different trials that happen at university.
Yeah.
There's different temptations of let's go out, let's go and have some fun. How important was it for you from the very start, which you both did, which is where you met, to like I'm gonna find a church straight away?
I think like when you go to university, it's quite empowering really, because it becomes your own decision. Like
Yeah, that's right.
when you go in with your family and you know that Sunday's for church, you kind of go and all your family are going. Whereas here, like you've got to make a decision to commit to it yourself. You're making the decision. You've got to get up on a Sunday morning and actually go to church. And actually, I think I found it empowering because it was almost like I took my faith into my own hands, really, and that
Yeah,
I was
that's
like,
great.
I'm actually gonna do something about it, and it's a priority for me, and it was the best thing that I did that.
Yeah.
100%.
And you get around people then that have done the same thing, that that you can share your faith with, and I think that's key. Like, you know, you don't have to feel like you're going to church and that you're doing that decision all by yourself.
Yeah.
Like when you've got people around you supporting you, like you're a collective. It's it sort of supports you to do it together almost,
Yeah,
and share
massively.
your faith together.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. Like, I knew of, like, coming into it, I knew of the Christian Union at Gloucester, at Cheltenham, because my previous, the pastor at Bristol told me about it. I knew how important, and he said how important it was. I thought, yeah, let's go, let's give it along. And it was amazing. It was a small university, so there wasn't loads of us at the CU, the Christian Union, the CU. There was about 30 of us on a Tuesday evening where we'd meet. Yeah. But it was just amazing to be a part of. Yeah, it was a Christian club, if you want to call it, where we'd meet and we'd, explore the Bible and worship together. And it was an amazing chapel. Cheltenham has an amazing chapel there, so we were able to use those facilities. It was awesome. Yeah, but also, to kind of, the CU were really passionate about reaching out and pushing people.
It wasn't just about yourselves with it. Yeah, definitely.
They were really, like, they had a committee, they had a budget. And it wasn't all just about, let's have a little bit for ourselves, let's get a better guitarist. Yeah. It was all about reaching out to people. And so they were really keen at pushing these big events. And they did have some events that were really easy to invite our friends to. So, like, there was, like, one time there was a pizza party. So they actually rented out a pub, which was really close. They bought a load of dominoes. And
you're going to go if there's free dominoes, aren't you? They brought so many people in. Yeah. It was amazing.
And they had, like, a live band, so they had some testimonies. Wow. And that was really easy to bring people to.
I invited my flatmates to it. It's just like, it was just a great way to connect people in.
There was, like, Gorilla Christian. Have you ever heard of that?
Gorilla Christian, yeah.
It's not as
so
bad
they'd
as it
have
sounds.
someone and then non-Christians could ask them questions, and it was,
Wow.
It was, or was it like Text a Toasty or something?
Text a Toasty was another one, when you text a question, and then they deliver a toasty as well as
just like loads of
and another thing was cool, which, like, links to the show, which is awesome, was they had this week, and they packed it out. It was after New Year, I remember. They were putting a lot of money into it. A lot of people, a lot of pastors from the neighbouring churches were coming in to speak about big questions that, like, uni students might ask. And it was called Real Life.
No.
There you go. Yeah, it was called the Real Life
So
Week.
We need to secure this now.
I know, you've
done it first,
you've stole it from them, haven't you?
2017 that was.
We're going to get in trouble.
Copyright, guys.
It was just a week. It was just a week.
And Co. Real Life and Co.
The Christian Union sounds incredible.
It was really action-packed.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
they had all these events going, but I know, like, for us as well, it was pretty amazing that, like, just living a Christian life in halls, in the courses, at uni, it drew conversations about Jesus left, right and centre.
Yeah. Like, you had to go to church on a Sunday, or you had to see you on a Tuesday, so people would be like, oh, where are you going? And then that would just start the conversations off.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
definitely.
Uni where it's normally that you look at it on the surface
so
and it's a
hard.
difficult place to
That's
share
right.
your faith.
It
But
was
actually
just
those
through
things,
actions as well, like, it would just spark conversations. And, like, so you were living with people from CU for a couple of years, but you
My
obviously
second year
had
and
people,
third year.
people on the course and stuff that you
Yeah,
but, like, like, my flatmates were sort of like my mission field. It was so, like, we would just, when you're living with someone 24/7, like, they're going to see what you're doing day to day and pick up on things without even you having to say, this, that, or the other. People pick up on it anyway.
Wow, that's so cool. So the Christian Union, did they signpost you to a church, or was that the church on a Sunday?
No, so that was, that's a good question. CU was on a Tuesday evening.
Okay.
And then so the church search that we mentioned earlier where we met.
Loads of churches would come and, like,
we could try this church, try that church, try
okay.
this church. So the CU weren't attached to any church.
Okay,
They
yeah.
just
That
signposted
was
you
just like a
saying, there's one
gathering.
5 minute down the road, there's
Great.
one 10 minutes, there's a car we could take you to go here if you wanted.
That is
And they
so
did encourage us
helpful.
to try different churches. It wasn't like, I'm just going to go here then.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
we
You
went
could
to a good
actively
couple of churches.
decide
They're amazing
yourself,
churches
couldn't
in
you?
Cheltenham. I
Yeah.
think they said there was like 110 or something.
Wow.
Something crazy like that. So
That
it's
is
great.
brilliant.
So you've had this uni life, like it sounds fantastic. That's the university I want to go to. So you've met
That's
each
good,
of that. You've definitely probably grown so much in faith. It's like you're saying, like, empowered you to have a faith of your own.
Yeah.
You've got a relationship, and then it comes to universities finishing. You're leaving university, and you've got a relationship to navigate. What was that like? What was it like in the years of leaving university,
Sure.
with taking a relationship with you, and this like almost fresh faith of what you've had from so many years of all that? I can't believe somebody would really be willing to just take you to church. Like,
so
get your
good.
car ready for you. I love
It
that.
was
But
amazing.
what was it like then in the leaving university period?
Well, it was quite, so I guess for that, we knew it was going to be a big decision because by the end of university, we'd be going out for about a year and a half. And do you want to say the
Yeah, so there was like an event on towards the
chapel,
end,
wasn't it? So, yeah.
we were like due to be finishing pretty soon. And then I felt like I'd had this word from God during the meeting. And I was like, oh, I'm going to have to share this with Ben.
And I could see something had happened to Emily. I could see something mad has happened. I could see her face and going like, oh gosh.
So then we went into the chapel just us two to just chat about it. And I kind of felt like I'd had this word that I was going to be Ben's battery pack through life in terms of like pushing him to Jesus when he felt like he needed recharging, and pushing him into the ministry, whatever that looked like in the future. And when I had that from God, I kind of like had the realization that like this was it. Like we were going to be getting married, and we'd not been together that long. I was more of a slow burner, like I was like more of a take it slow person. Yeah. So then to me to hear that, I was like, oh my gosh, like that's really big. Yeah. And then like we knew that we were like in it for the long haul. We wanted to get married, like. And
so when we came to the end of the courses, obviously you need to get jobs because we're going to be teachers. So we had to do it early in the year. Yeah. And so we knew we wanted to be together. Therefore, we had to choose a place that we had to be together. And we kind of had three options. Yeah. So we had either stay at Cheltenham, go to Bristol, which is where my family are from, or go to Dudley, which is where your family is from. Yeah. Wow. And I will say that was a really hard time, to be fair. Like, it was really tricky. It was, because I had my own, what I wanted. You and Daddy had what you wanted. We had our family saying, oh, yeah, come on. We had great churches at both places. Yeah. Cheltenham was great as well. That was an option. Yeah. And so we were tussling back and forth, and we couldn't take forever on it because we had to do jobs. We wanted to get going. We had to give our CVs out and stuff. So really, it was when we both personally, I can speak for myself, speak for family as well, like we laid our own desires, that's right, to the sides. And we really went, it could be Bristol, it could be Dudley, it could be Cheltenham, whatever it is, we just want God to take the helm.
And I think it was like we had to do that before we
God
felt like,
we
had to lay all that down first to then feel like we got our direction.
And we prayed about it a lot, and we sought other people about it a lot. And I remember it to this day. It was a moment when we were spending time together, praying about it and thinking about it. And it was just God, I felt. It was a physical nudge in my stomach. Wow. I still say it to Emily today. Like, it was a physical nudge in my stomach where I felt God was saying, just go to Bristol. Didn't know the why, didn't know what it was going to look like, didn't know for how long either. But I just felt that. And so I had the tricky task of then saying, Emily, I feel like God said we're going to Bristol.
And then my face.
It wasn't an easy conversation.
Did you not feel that at
that time? So again, like I had to, because we'd laid that down. Yeah. And then like when someone says they've heard that from God, what can you do with that?
That's so
like,
difficult.
It's really difficult because it's kind of like, well, I ultimately want to go where God wants us to go. Yeah. And if that's, where God thinks, it's God's telling Ben where to pull us in this direction, and we just kind of agreed that's what we were going to go with. Yeah.
And I had to check myself. Like, it wasn't okay, am I actually, is this a me thing, or is this what we're saying is a God thing? Yeah. Is it really my will? But like we're saying, like I've truthfully, hand on heart, felt at that point, I didn't care where I went, as long as me and Emily went where God would take us. Yeah. And that was when I felt, for me, it might have taken me a bit longer than you did because I was loving Bristol so much. It took me that took me a while time to kind of lay it down at God's feet. And that's when I felt that. And so that's when we started a kind of Bristol journey, and we lived there for 3 years.
Was this pre-marriage? Like where does marriage come into this story?
That's good.
Yeah, so we'd finished uni.
About a year and a half together.
About a year and a half, yeah. And then over the summer holidays, Ben proposed. So we got engaged that summer. And then I lived on my own in a flat in Bristol for about a year. Yeah. And then we got married the year after. Okay. So we were living in Bristol, but we weren't married until like the year after.
Yeah. I was with my mum and dad's. You were in my dad's flat, and we did. It was a big move for Emily. It was massive. Like, what you had to do that straight from university as well, coming to Bristol, which is a big city. And we did really feel like there were some signs. There were like confirmation signs as well. Yeah. Like the flat was one of them. The fact that my dad was able to even have that in his locker to be able to give that to you, provide that to you, which is where we lived when we got married.
Our jobs
are amazing. Yeah. The church obviously was my home my home childhood church,
Yeah.
which is where we were and we served, and my uncle was pastor, and he got us on board, and we did like a youth ministry, and we were part of the senior leadership team there, and you preached for the first couple of times, I preached for the first couple of times. And so we really did feel it was the right thing for those moments. And growth was a massive thing.
We grew a lot. Yeah, we definitely went through like a big transformation during that period, really. And I think it's like when we stripped it back. Well, like for me in particular, I just had to learn to rely on God. Like I was literally living on my own.
Yeah, that's right.
It was really big. Like
it's massive.
Like I'd never lived on my own before. I was in a place that I'd never lived before. Like I really just had to rely on God, and that I was in the right place, and that's where He wanted me to be.
What was that period of time like? Just we'll talk about the other move.
Yeah.
What was that like for you, like individually, like away from obviously relying on God? You're there as well. God's spoken about you and Ben. You're a battery for Ben.
Yeah.
Taking all that, what was it like individually? Like you are living on your own. You're in a foreign place.
Yeah.
Like you've lived in this wonderful area.
Yeah.
You live in
I know.
So long. And I suppose Cheltenham helps you get used to this.
Yes.
Middle ground,
But I guess with the knowledge that I'm going to go home at some point. Like, I'm probably going to go back.
Yeah. It was like our first venture. I think we knew that it was like our first venture. And I think we just didn't want to, like with anything, you don't want to feel like you're tied to that place forever. Like you've got to be open to where God leads you. But it was a big challenge, like for me personally. And then, so we'd got married, and then COVID hit. So that brought a massive challenge of its own. And that stripped back a lot of things and brought a lot of feelings for me to the surface. Right. So, like, I had, like, family was coming up to visit really regularly, and that couldn't happen anymore. We were in a flat. It was a beautiful flat, but, like, we were in a small space. There was work that I went through something at work that just took its toll, and it got even more stressful. And it really impacted my mental health at that stage. And I think that's... Like, I threw myself into it. We'd got involved in lots of things. We'd had like lots of confirmations, and then I think it reached a point where, for me, my mental health got really affected, and it just felt like something needed to change for us at that point. And that's kind of led into us making the decision to move back.
Talk to us about that. And talk us. We've got written down your talk of you moved to Arise. That's all part of like an actual move of
cities.
City, of
Talk to
us about like what the process of you going.
Sure.
We're heading up north.
Yeah, it was a big move. So like we had those 3 years in Bristol, and I think like what you were saying really like it's what I guess everyone felt at the time. COVID really intensified things, didn't it? Because we had so much time on our own in the flat. Those feelings that you might have felt anyway. COVID just intensified them. And I was seeing the toll that it had on Emily. And so, I could see that you were longing, you wanted to go back to the West Midlands.
I didn't feel 100% settled at that point.
And then so like as a husband, like I felt it was almost my duty. I felt like it was the right thing to go, well, Emily moved, for me. It wasn't a move for me, you know what I mean? Because it was a God thing, but Emily made the move with me to Bristol. And I felt, me to do the thing back would be the right thing. And so like we prayed about it, we spoke to the pastor at the time, my uncle, about it, and he got it, my family got it.
And I think we just felt like we needed to push the door and see if the door would open for us. I think we had the task then of finding new jobs back here.
I got a job story, didn't I? So the job that I got, which I'm still at now, was a massive God thing because, again, similar to what you had in Bristol, I had around here. I didn't know what school was what. So I'm firing off CVs, hoping for the best. In Bristol, I had a really good job, and there was going to be a potential promotion that maybe I was going to work towards, but I couldn't have it because we were going to go to the West Midlands. But I went for this job. There was another job available the week after. So I said, they rang me up and said, we want to give you an interview. And I was like, no, I'm all right. There's a better job in Birmingham, actually, that actually I think takes my fancy a bit more. And it's got the promotion I wanted. So I thought, nah, I'm okay, I'll leave to that. So they said, okay. A few hours later, the head teacher rang me up and said, actually, Ben, we want you to come in. There's no pressure on it. We're not saying that you're going to get the job, but we just want you to come. So I thought, all right, fine. So literally, I took the train up. I had to do a lesson. I was doing that on the train.
It was really last minute, wasn't it?
It was
Like,
really, I didn't have my resources ready. I didn't have all those little
Yeah.
silly little things that you lesson plan or whatever. Got there, did the lesson, did the interview. I thought I did okay. Like I just answered them, and I didn't really. I
think you relaxed more because you were
yeah.
you took the pressure
I didn't really
off
care
it. Yeah,
what was going to happen. I
yeah.
thought it's a good experience. I'll just brush it out. I'll just see what
Yeah.
happens. And then on the way back on the train, on the way back to Bristol, the head teacher rang me up and said, "Oh, we want to offer you the job." And I was saying, "Look, no, I didn't want it there. I want the one on the promotion on Friday." And she said, "We'll match it."
No
So
way.
in her words, they made
The
the
role,
job,
yeah.
the
Oh,
role for
wow.
me. They said, you can be a class teacher and you can have this bit on the side. So for me, and I was saying to Emily, I thought, Emily, darn it, we're going. It's happening. Well, obviously, I knew at that point we were going to go anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
But at
That
that
was
point,
proper Bristolian then as well. Did you hear
Good.
that? Darn it.
is that the first time in this that I've actually spoken Estonian?
Yeah.
I need to go back and just check it. But that was a massive God thing, and
Wow,
and
yeah.
that was, we saw God's kind of provision as we moved to the West Midlands,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and Arise was a massive part of that.
What was that like
Yeah.
then? So what was it like to, obviously, you knew was the church. I remember speaking to you really close when you came back, and I remember you saying this is a different place.
Yeah.
Like, it
Yeah.
felt so different.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
did it?
Was it, oh, we're going to go back to Arise, or was it, let's broaden our search,
Yeah.
let's find the place for us?
I think we definitely had the mentality that we wanted to do it a bit like what we had at uni, a bit of a church
Yeah.
search, and actually find like what felt like home for both of us. Because I
Yeah,
was
that's
aware
right.
that like Arise was home for me, but I wanted Ben to also feel that for himself.
It's important.
And I
isn't
didn't
it?
feel like I could just be like, oh, we're just going to slot back in here. And it, we needed to make that move as a couple. Like, we were probably new people at that point as well. Like,
Yeah.
We've gone through growth, we've gone through transformation. I think
That's
as
right.
a couple, we wanted to find a home for us, a spiritual home for ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we'd been to Arise through Bristol, through uni. Like I'd visited, obviously, senior family and things and that.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we always knew that Arise had like something in its locker. Like I've always looked at it from my perspective, thinking that's a bit different church than my church in Bristol. And so that it always attracted me. Like that the worship was different, and I really loved it. The preaching was like spot on in line with the gospel, and I loved it. The approach and the people and the welcoming and the people that were our age. There were
Yeah.
more people in Arise that were more our age, and we loved our Bristol church. But that was the thing that we wanted at that point of our life as well. We
Yeah.
wanted other people that were going to be
Yeah,
similar stages of life anyway. And also there were a lot of people that were kind of just above ourselves that were kind of like what we could see as mentors as well.
Yeah.
And we thought, we wanted them to input on us as well.
Yeah.
Would you say that as well?
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think we knew. I think it was like a piece that we felt that like Arise is home for both of us.
Really.
And I think like we've said at the beginning, I think we came, we served, and we just felt like this is home for us. We got to know people that way. Like serving was a great opportunity for that. And I just think there's been so many things that have happened that have just confirmed that it's just been where we've flourished. I like that word.
and also I want to say, like, Arise FC helped. I'll be honest. Like as a men's ministry side of point of view, I love football, obviously, but to know that there was a church I was going to go to that had men my age, around my age, where we'd meet twice a week, training and football, and a match on a Saturday was amazing, and that was a massive part for me personally. I knew that if I was going to go to City, like I'd want some support. I know you'd forgive it to me as well, and your family as well.
Yeah.
But I wanted that support, that network, I guess you could say. And I thought Arise FC was great.
Oh, that's
It was a
good.
good way for you to get to know people.
Best
wasn't
centre
it?
back to wear the teal.
Number 4 shirt's coming soon, I hope.
Can I just ask you, how did, when you came back, when you moved back, what was the journey like then with your mental health? Like, how did things like slot back into place almost, or like, was that something that you still had to journey?
So like, it was kind of like we moved back home, and not that I thought that everything would be smooth sailing, because life isn't like that. But I expect it to go a lot smoother than it actually did.
Yeah.
I came home and I was like, oh my goodness, like things have turned out completely different than what I expected they would. And to, like, probably my mental health got even more further challenged when I moved back.
Sure.
I think like I got a new job, And then, like, I'd gone through a lot of change in lots of areas of my life. And, yeah, my mental health got very challenged at that point. I got to a point where anxiety was very prevalent. I was getting panic attacks. I had to I went on to medication to help manage it. And it was just a time where I just felt like I really had to cling on to God. Like I didn't feel like I had anything left but to just cling on. Like it felt like it was just my fingers around like a pole sort of thing.
That's right.
And I think it's like when a challenge like that comes, it's like a challenge, you have to decide if there's going to be compromise. Like in terms of like for me, I had to work even harder to make sure that like my special time with God wasn't compromised, or that my praise wasn't compromised, because in a time when you go through a challenge like that, you could either pull yourself away from God, where you're probably going to get even worse, or you could draw closer to him because he's the only one that is going to get you through. And that's what I journaled a lot during that time.
That's helpful.
That was like super beneficial, just to sort of journal. It was like a conversation that I was having with God, like throughout that journey of like recovery and things. It was just a great place to write down scripture that really spoke to me, just to see that God was still moving in that time. And to look back on that it's been really special actually. But yeah, journaling was a really big part for me.
That was helpful.
The school I was at was really supportive and understanding, which I was really grateful for. And funded me to have like counselling sessions, which was like a great God thing, and just allowed like the space to reflect and just see where God was leading me to next, and also gave me like strategies to help manage it better. And then I think at that point I decided that I needed to be in the environment I was in was just, I needed to get out of that and seek something else, something new, something fresh. So it was a real
really
journey, but like there's been so many moments since where like even in that really hard time, in that really dark time, like God still moved and used me at my worst, which is just so beautiful. Like at my worst time, God still used me, and I think it's only, you don't know it when you're going through it, but it's when you look back, like God uses you at your worst.
The little thing. Say a little story about that.
So like at the time, so I was working in a school for like only a few months, and then it's only recently that, so the school I was working at, the kids I had would have been in year 6 this year, like just like leaving year 6 this year. And I think they have to do like an end of year like report, like they just talk about memories from their time at school. And one of the children had said that that Mrs. Morton, she was like really lovely, really caring, and I really missed her when she left. And I was just like, wow, like I was literally only there for a really short time, and yet
You made
I made an impact, and that was
when
that
you
was
probably
really
felt
special.
like you weren't.
Like it was it was a really emotional moment for me when it was like I'd done like a full circle. It was like a full circle moment, and God just was like dropped. It was like a little bomb, when he drops a little bomb, and he's like, oh yeah.
Oh,
That
that's
took
so
like 3 years
beautiful.
almost to get that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So
3 years later, and
Wow.
I was really
It's
grateful.
a nice
for
little
that.
reminder
Yeah.
from God, isn't it?
How long have you been back now?
3 years now.
3
Yeah.
100%.
So married life in the Midlands, plus a beautiful baby. Unpack that little time for us, since not little.
Yeah.
Just unpack that those, especially the last couple of years.
Yeah. So we had all that, and then we had stable jobs, and then we moved into a house which we really liked, and then so we kind of felt really positive. We felt like in the right direction. I thought, come on, then let's try starting for a family, and and we found it tricky. We found that those first kind of moments of starting a family, we actually felt quite what's the one I'm looking for? We experienced trauma. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
We experienced trauma, heartbreak, and it's not as a smooth and easy ride as I think sometimes it's painted. Having that, and we had a bit of a stability, and then it got hit down again. It felt like we were rock bottom again. So it was, oh my gosh, what are we going to do now? And like that's when we really did just cling on to God's promises. We really had to dive deep into God again. I know some it was suggested, maybe why don't we go away? Like, why don't we just break free from our, during one of the holidays, the summer holiday, the Easter holidays, wasn't it?
Yeah,
let's break free, let's go away from our norm, let's just go away from people a bit,
Yeah.
let's just get away from the busyness of life. And we were able to kind of go to, it was a beautiful place.
Yeah, we went to a lovely holiday.
It was a lovely holiday. And we actually used that as, we had some nice times and nice food and nice experiences, but we actually used that as a time of like reflection.
Oh,
and
that's
actually
nice.
inviting God into that moment, because, some things like it's really hard to process, and you ask your whys. You ask, why does this happen? Why does that happen? And we just wanted to invite God in it. And an amazing couple at church as well said, why don't you go to a beach? And there were a couple of beaches there. And what they suggested was, on some pebbles or rocks, whatever you could find, write on it the situation, write your thoughts, write your feelings, be honest, be brutal, tell God as it is.
Yeah.
And then pray about it and whack it in the ocean. And that was kind of it was a physical thing, but a thing that we felt actually really helped us.
Yeah,
and it
I
helped
love
us process it. It wasn't like, hey, we're back from holiday, nothing's happening.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that.
All the lights.
It was more like it was a process, and it was a part of our process. And that might not have helped everybody, but that definitely helped us at that time. And so we experienced that heartbreak and that for months, and then eventually Amira came. And she's nearly 7 months now.
Yeah.
So, and Amira's mint. She's class.
And like just on the back of that, I think for us, this is where we just found it so beneficial to get connected
Yeah, that's right.
with like couples in the church with life experience, almost like as a mentor in that sense. There are so many like amazing couples at church
Correct.
that just came around us, that supported us, that encouraged us through life's ups and downs, that were just like amazing, like just gave us advice. And I think that's so important to seek that and actually have those moments with people, because we just found that so beneficial, didn't we?
Yeah.
That mentorship.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Ben, did you, during that time, obviously that is a difficult time that you went through.
Yeah.
Did you miss your home church there? Or did people get around you enough at a Rise?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I knew going away and, experiencing what Emily was going through in the mental health, and experiencing like our bit of trauma that was starting a family. Like, it was rough. And I guess like we went through it different ways.
Yeah.
I had like my family back home. As soon as we got the news of what happened, we did go back to Bristol. And we wanted to tell them, we wanted to share it with them, and we wanted them to be still part of our journey. And we do feel like that. Like the relationships we made in Bristol for those 3 years, the roles that we had there and the people that inputted on us there, like we've still journeyed life through together. So even though we're two hours down the M5 or whatever, we still feel like our, the pastor there, he knows what we're doing, and he's encouraged us recently when we've done preaching and things like that. So I did feel supported, and your family's amazing. Rise are brilliant, and all those little things were just really, really helpful.
It's like a second family, isn't it?
I was just going to say, you've got two.
You
do spend time, don't you? You do take time out of your life. Like, you go back to Bristol, don't you?
We do. Like most holidays, we do try to, and we do love it, because we always feel we go back to that church and we go back to family. We always feel a bit of hey, Ben, how are we back?
It's special,
you guys all right?
Yeah.
And we get to just meet and see what's happening, and just to get the check in, and it was 100% the right thing. Like, I can stand now, and I've said this to Emily, despite everything that's happened. We loved Bristol, but moving here was definitely the right thing, and I love it. I do love it here. It's amazing.
That's great.
I mean, there's so much stuff we can talk about. There's like, I love that, like, below 30, there is so much has happened. And you've got such a story, subs to 30-year-old. Like, you've not even got, like, you almost. I feel I'm similar age to you guys.
Yeah.
I almost feel like I'm not an adult yet. I haven't really stepped into adulthood. Like, I'm not even 30 yet. Like, what's to come? But there's so much stuff, like, as young adults, that below 30 age group, which you have already experienced. So it's so helpful, and you are so I don't know what the word is, valuable. In a way of helping young adults and people who've got this to come, got marriage to come, got starting a family to come, where there is a possibility of these horrible things to happen.
Right.
They've got that temptation of university coming up. They've got this, what uni brings. They've got this, like, do I carry on my faith there? Do I find a church? Or do I just completely go through the uni life, that kind of stuff. What would you say? But in all of that, you've stayed rooted. Like church is so important, and that is so beautiful. Like in this episode, it's been so beautiful to see in all these different things. These like 3 or 4 things that you've unpacked. Church has been so important in those moments. What would you say then, just to wrap us up, for young adults listening right now, specifically, when going through these things, when stepping into this like post-university and post-life, what would you say were fundamental for you guys and advice you would give to stay rooted and to, make sure church is a priority?
Yeah.
I think we discussed this together actually, and I think for us, like a key thing that's come out from our whole story really is that your satisfaction doesn't come from a place, it doesn't come from a job, it doesn't come from a relationship. It only comes from Jesus. Satisfaction only comes from Jesus.
great,
I think that sums up our journey. Like,
Yeah, it did.
have you got anything else to add, advice-wise?
Yeah. No, I'd say, I felt particularly at university as well. Like, I think when you take that step out from your childhood, your family, your little Christian bubble, whatever you want to call it, you chuck yourself out at university. I was even in my halls. I was the only man living with 11 people in the same people, and I was the only Christian, and I was the only man there as well. So at times I was like lonely, and before, I was getting to know Emily as well. Great. So I would say, and I'd massively encourage, like CU was massive, Christian Union was massive. People going to university, like CU was massive. Got to meet people, got to meet Christians who are in the same places as you. And one thing that helped me through relationships, through tough coursework, through times where you're thinking, oh my gosh, what am I going to do after this? Where are we going to go? Is that, I'd always try, before shutting on my laptop, start the day with a bit of Bible, of God, and just kind of ask God to really input. And because there were loads of times during university and since where I've come up with trouble, come up with a tough situation, prayed into it, got the Bible out, and there's been this like verse or section of scripture where God's just completely poured his heart out to me. And what I used to do at uni, I used to like write it on a post-it note. I used to stick it up in front of me on my desk, and like that was a bit of a pillar, a milestone, whatever you want to call it. Like every time I was going through a tough time after that, thinking about when we're going to go Bristol, Dudley, Cheltenham, I'd look at those Bible verses and go, well, that was when God did this. That was when God did that, and he's going to get me through what I'm about to do now as well.
That's so good.
I love that, and some of my favourite Bible verses have come for that. So I'd recommend doing that. That little, journaling, those little things. Was massive.
They're good habits, aren't they?
Yeah, habits that really, really help and train yourself to remember what's good.
It's a discipline, isn't it, I think? And I think it's not just going to happen. Like, you have to be intentional about it, definitely.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Great episode.
Thanks
you for
having
chatting to
us.
Yeah, thank you so
We've
much.
loved it.
It's been brilliant. You guys are professionals.
You are, yes. Yeah, definitely.
18 times. We
Thank you, guys.
watched us before, so we do our selfie with our guests.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Sarah,
Come on.
you going to go around?
I'm going to go round. You're going to take it.
I'm going to take you. My phone's got battery this time. So. What a great episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Right, let's get closer.
Where am I looking? I'm not looking right.
The
Great
green
question.
dot. The green dot.
Green dot. Where's the green dot?
Andy tells me
It
all the
left.
time.
It doesn't look. It doesn't look green.
Green
It looks
there.
a different colour.
Specific green. Come on, let's do. There it is. Brilliant. Thank you guys so much.
Thank
we hope
you.
you enjoyed it.
No, it's
We
been
loved
really
it. It was
good.
amazing.
You do forget that the camera's there. It is like
true.
just having a
They're
conversation
not there,
with
are
you,
they?
really.
No one's
Not there.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you guys so much for
Yeah.
coming. Thank you, Andrea and the team
Thank you.
at Backyard for having us. Thank you to Emily behind the camera for helping us out as well. You can listen, you can watch on YouTube and Spotify. Also, you can listen on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, and Audible if you say, Alexa, play the real life show. She will.
That's pretty
She
cool.
will.
Isn't
She
it
does.
cool?
We've tried it.
We have tried it. It happens. But until next month, it's been great having you, and we'll see you then.
See you.
Bye.